All right, another Wusik Station 10 video on coding. And yesterday I was fixing the rendering of the knob. So the math should be the number of frames minus 1 times the value that should be from 0 to 1.0. To 1.0. So it's a floating point value. Then that result we can multiply it by the frame height. It's always going to skip a frame height every time it changes the animation. And since I'm using a duplicated, let me show again. So it's 2 rows because of the limitations of the OpenGL sizes. So let's see here. I'm using 2 rows of the animation. So one row goes all the way to the half, and then the other from the half to the full right, because OpenGL has a limitation of the size of the image in terms of how long or how high it can be. So what I do now is I get the total frames divided by 2. So if you are on a frame that's higher than the total frame divided by 2, we're going to go to the next positioning. Next positioning is the width of each knob. And then we subtract the frame by the total frames divided by 2. So now, if I open it up here, I just made a little code, so every time it draws, it moves to the right. So it's moving correctly now. Goes from left to right in a very smooth way. So now the next step I want to do, so this is not going to be in the final code. It's going to be done in another way that I'm going to do pretty soon. I just want to do another thing first. String skin name. So I want to be able to give the skin name of knob, and let me open the skin settings. So we're going to put this like edit enable equals 1. So when it's edit enabled, I can move the stuff manually without having to edit on the skin file and reload. So think of something here. Need to make the skin file to be able to be saved the skin file. So let me check the skin file. Skin setting. Oh, okay, it is possible to edit and save the skin file. Get saved in the end. I remember doing a code somewhere, but I was for Wusik ZR, so it's not in here. It's not part of this code. So never mind. So let me check in here. I'm going to create a variable. Then in initiation, where is it? I can be here. Again, it enabled. Save it. Save it. So skin enable. So now, what I'm going to do, okay, so I'm passing the variables in the construction, which should be here. So I'm creating the filters. Now, I don't actually need to do the way I was doing here. Key name here, I'm not going to be using like that. It's going to pass like that. And what I'm going to do is check if data files skin it skin enabled. So it's skin enabled. And index equals 1, so just the first layer. And filters equals 0, just the first filter. And you can add the information in name equals whatever it is. The layer filter frequency. And there's another small thing I want to change. Always something extra. Is the way I read the pointers and rectangles in the file, for the skin settings file, because it's starting to get a bit ugly. So we have X, Y, W, the age, and it could be a single thing. So I remember that I created something some time ago that would read that more directly. Not in here. Nowhere in those files. So I'm going to create it. I'm going to create in the data files looks and feel if it's not there already, because I think at some point I did create this, but can't seem to recall it. Already has a static there. Not sure. Well, let's create it. Maybe I'm going to create on the utility files. Oh, here is good too, it's not a problem. Yeah. So first I want to get a point. Get skin point. String name. And I want to make this static. Oh, I can't make it static because I'm going to use the skin settings file. Settings, get value, up to first occurrence of comma, doesn't include it, and it can be case insensitive. So we're going to return point figure of that, and let's complain about the skin settings file. Oh, of course. Get to integer. Forget it. What's the correct way? I always forget it into value. Now up to first occurrence from first occurrence point. From first occurrence and I get into value. So that should already help me out. Get skin point and the name, which I use in the construction of the, where is it? Plugin editor. Okay, it is in here. Wait, no. Where getting? Um, oh, oh, okay, I remember now. I created a variable that holds all the values. So I have to find it now. It should be component positioning. So here it is. So instead of this ugly guy, get skin point, and then just a layer frequency. Because soon I'm going to have many others in here, not just this one, and then it can get very confusing. So already fixed that one. So presets X, width and height also can change it soon. Oh, this guy I also want to change it. Just let me take more water. In this case, I can leave like that, or I just can go and manually do this. Oops. First occurrence, get into value. Oops, up to first occurrence, and then from changing here. Then I change file here. I should have done this from the start, but yeah, sometimes we skip things and later have to worry about. Now I want to create another one. Going to be a rectangle. Over here. Instead of pointer, now it's a rectangle. Gear gets king rectangle. Is I just go replace all the commas with new lines, and then to get the string array. Oh, nice. So this is going to give me an array of files, sorry, of values. Then I can just return rectangle figure. Just get each value like that. Zero, one, two, three. Simple as that. It should work. But before I continue, I'm just going to test the two ones that I changed. I already changed the filter frequency and the menu positioning. Check that just before I start changing other pieces of the code. And this is better than now. In here, nothing in here. Open, open as opens up the menu. Okay, and the filter frequency knob was in the right position. Nice. Okay, let's take a look at the logo now. Can change it. So it's already rectangle, so we don't need to do that anymore. We're on the editor, so that else gets king rectangle logo. It's much better. Going to be 0, 0, 440, 20. And no space. Otherwise, it may not work, but let's try it out. Then you have the preset left and right. Let me do that 1, 2, 400, 0, 434. Oh, logo, I forgot to remove the X. And the preset is going to be preset left and right. Preset left, preset right. And come here with the same thing. Preset left and preset right. Those are the buttons that you press to go to the next and previous preset. The logo. Okay, it didn't work, so I have to check now why it didn't work. Working, working. One one thing I want to check. Oh, logo pop. Oh, that's the menu offset. Okay, I remember now. So let's see why this is not working. 400. If put in the right order. X, Y, Y, 400, 0, 100, 104. It should be okay, but who knows? Get skin rectangle, then right. And the logo is also not working. Oh, we're going to take a look at the code I created. Get skin point, get skin rectangle. String array from lines. Oops, correct. From lines is static. Oh, it's a static. Okay. So it replaces the commas with new lines and gets the array from lines. What seems to be the problem? Let's take a look what's going on. Look at the file again. Set left, reset right. I'll save it. I don't know. Logo. Set left, set right. Oh, of course. Oh boy. Because I'm passing the. Never mind. Not like that. It's like this. Get value. Sometimes we skip things and later wonder why it's not working. How it's going to work. Because it's name, not value. Was value, you don't have to do that, but it's name. Let's see. Okay, it's open up here. X. Yeah, all good now. Working as expected. Let's check this one. Oh, the preset name. So first thing I'm going to change thing here. Previous and next. So it's easier to read on the previous and next. Now here we have the preset name, which is something else. 38 4. That's the preset name. Next week. Now we search for that one. Just one place. Okay. You can see there's already creating a rectangle for the positioning here. So now I'll get skin over. Very easy. Okay, effect, data files, get skin rectangle, and I'm going to call this preset name, which is much better than all this crap. Next one is the layer scroll bar that's already there. Just going to do a quick search just to be sure it's not being called any elsewhere. Get skin rectangle. Oh, that's something. 248717772 bar. That should be a clear enough name. And there's one more. Got here. Their background. Background X. That's key. Five. Go. Going to here. 3711. 3711. 2004. There we go. Should help make it easier to read. All this stuff here on the bottom I'm not using, so pretty sure I can remove, but I'm going to check slowly. It's not being used anywhere. Okay, it's scroll bar is on the right place. All the background stuff are on the right place too. So it looks good. All right. So the other thing I was doing, you double check that I did everything top here. Let me push this to the bottom because it's not being used. Right now it's just all these guys on the top. Okay, that all seems fine enough. If the next step is to make the knob move so that I can also click on it and change its positioning. For that, I have to check, use an update interface here, event. Mouse event checks for whatever component is over. So I have to check now. Event computer. Just trying to find where I declare the component over. Declare not, where I passed something to the component over. It's, it's pretty much in here. The mouse moving. So if the mouse is not moving, it checks for the components. That's why the presets are already working, because it's a component in there. But now I have also to check for the layers. But before I do that, there's another thing I have to worry about. Here on the layers draw, I check if the layer is on screen, it draws everything that's pertinent to the layer. But it should also check if the component is also visible in the layer. Otherwise, it doesn't need to be drawn. But it's not too much of a problem because it's very little thing that's going to be drawn, but still see if I can do that. The layer background position intersects with the this case is the component. Let's get the component in here. Just so the code is not way too long, we make like this. Intersects with the component positioning get x. And then you use the positioning y plus positioning y. And lift that should do it. It's not a problem to leave a long line like that because it's easy to see what's going on there. What I'm going to do now, I want to check when this gets off screen and if it stops rendering. It's going to show 2 times because you have 2 knobs there. Or not. It's working. Now it's just showing me the one knob. One. And 2 because it's already showing a bit of the transparent area of the knob there. So it works. Not going to render if it doesn't need to be rendering. Okay, now the next step is I check the components and now I have to check the layers. So one thing I was thinking is that I could add another variable, my layers, this guy, the layers holder. Let me check here, layers. So I can check on screen equals true, actually equals false on screen. Then I can check here wherever the layers on screen or not. And as before, can also go like this. We go layer on screen equals true, equals false actually. Equals false. And if it is visible equals true. Then on the components, I'm going to add the same thing, but it helps me out to know like that. Just better. I'm going to put true by default because if I just create it and it doesn't pass to this layer code, it should always be on screen. So now I draw the components. So I just check the component was false. Otherwise, on screen equals true. And now when I go to the and check the list of arrays of the layers actually, I can just go and check if layer index on screen, and I go to the through the array of the layer index components. And if it's 0, it's not going to do anything. So I check index components on on screen. In this case, I'm going to create another. Otherwise the code starts getting too large. So okay, we check if is on screen and receive mouse events. It could be done like that. And positioning contains X and Y. So if that's the case, we have to do all this stuff in here. And there's another thing here. All found, actually not about found component, but if component over is no longer null, we break the second loop. because you have a loop inside a loop. You have to break both. And I'll go component over equals compo. Yeah, that should already do something. So now let's take a look at our knob widget. Not doing anything with the mouse button, but just going to create the mouse button down at least. I can't do anything. Just going to, every time the mouse button is down, going to do that and repaint. That way you can also check if my render total is correct. The render simple is correct already, but I don't know about the render total. Well, let's see what's happening. Let's see if the preset is still working. Working. This is doing nothing right now. Okay. Hit the code again. We are going through the layers. Check that. Want to check that as well, just to see if it's doing anything. But well, we're going to check that. Let me leave my task manager open, so if it gets stuck, I can kill it, because I think as soon as I move the mouse, it's going to start spitting the show values. Yeah, 0, 100. It is getting to my two guys in here, and then gets to my filter. So let me see if my default for receive mouse events is on or off. I don't remember. Receive mouse events is by default true. What's going on there? No, I think I know. The positioning. Is getting there, but it's not the correct position. Now I have to deal with the positioning, which is going to be because I passed the positioning. I know what it is. I kind of what's going on. Because when I go here, I put the offset in another variable. It's not inside the positioning. So what I need to create another call. Check mouse over, and we pass x and y. X, y. And by default, it should just use the return positioning contain x position y. But in the case of knob, it should also use the positioning offset. Well, it should always use the offset actually, so let me correct that. Should be position y minus the offset. I think that's should be correct. Instead that, check mouse over. I don't know if it's minus or plus because set. Yeah, that seems to be correct. Let's see if I move it moves correctly. So seems to be good. Now just the mouse click is not refreshing the clicking 4 times, then I refresh with the screw wheel, and it moves. But it should be refreshing, but I haven't created a code to actually refresh it. So let's do that now. So I can copy from this part in here, and I can find the components where they get drawn. So here, draw items. We draw the components. And then we draw the layer stuff. Too worry too much. So if component on screen, if component process is repaint all, update screen. Just like we do here on the top of regular components. In this case, we're just checking if the component is on screen or not. And in this case, we don't break the code, the loop. We don't break the loop because can can be several components that needs to be redrawn. Like you're sending MIDI information to tweak several controllers at the same time. They have to be redrawn. Okay, now it's moving and you can see that the background is all wrong. So we have to check why. But you can see that at least it's consistent. So that's not bad. There is some sort of problem going on. I don't know what it is yet. I'm clicking and it's not processing. So I have to check why. Something strange happening there. Well, anyway, first let me fix the problem of the background not rendering correctly. Let me start with just the regular background and a knob. For now, it's going to be hard to see the background. Maybe I should disable. Oh, there is another problem that I have to worry about. Is the part where it goes over the top in here. That's going to be a bit complicated, but it's not impossible. Just have to think a bit. So let's see. Moving background at least. Rendering on the right positioning. And she'll have the overlay to worry about, but that's the last thing I'm going to do. Not even drawing. I'm going to make like this. It's easier for me to read the code. And I'm going to get all the positionings in line here. Hmm. It's pretty much the offset here that could be wrong. So let's take a look at how I'm actually clearing it. On the update interface. Where is the update? Oh, it's not in here. It's going to be in here. I'm lost. I don't remember. Ah, okay, it's in here. On a separate thread. Oh, during the knob creation. This is the moving back sound background offset. Component. Layer screw. Oh, it seems to be okay. Weird. This screw. Right. No, that's not correct. It's far from correct. Still not rendering. Hmm. Did it compile? No, it didn't compile. I don't know. Maybe it didn't. And I didn't see. Let's try again. Just in case. Weird. Like it's not drawing anything at all. But the position is the same as the component. So it should be drawing. Hmm. One thing I want to check. Forgot to check. So let me check now before I forget again. Is the layer all, which is also a very large file. 4,000. That's okay. Very far from the 1,600 limitation that I saw yesterday. Just want to check why like that. Should be doing like it's not drawing anything. The mouse clicking is also very strange. Just want to double check that the moving background was passed correctly and it's not a null pointer. It is in there. It is in there. That's why it's fine. Oh, it's the wrong file. That's the layer overlay. Why did I do that? Oh, it is layer overlay. I lose. Oh, come on. Back layer. I hate myself some, but that's okay. Why? That's why I was not showing anything. Oh boy. Oh, now it seems okay. Well, almost. Top one is okay. The bottom one's not okay. It's leaching so bad. Mouse click. So it should follow this scrolling. Trying to think something now. Should follow. Because okay, the where is the moving background? Layer top. Components, main background, layer background. Okay, the layer background is just repeating. So we have to use it from the start. should be like this instead. Because it should be on the positioning of the knob and offset. No, it's still not correct. I think this is true. Oh, one thing I was remembering now. Mouse click, mouse event. To check if the mouse up is not moving away from the mouse. But it doesn't seem to be doing that. Let me check on the mouse click. Mouse clicked. And the mouse event. I have to double check that. Not now. I still want to fix this first. Okay, let me think this through. We know where to draw the knob, which is the positioning and the offset. And funny enough, this should be the same offset for where to draw the moving background. Not doing that. Doing something else. Try this again. As I move down, drawing from somewhere else. But where? Top one is working correctly. Interesting. Where is my construction here again? I'm passing, moving background position. So I'm passing this, which is the same as the top one. So actually, I don't really need this one. Let's remove that for now. Not really important, but I just want to remove that. Moving back, set. Background offset. Background offset. Okay, I think I know. I know what it is. Because what happens is that the moving background starts at around 200 pixels here. The knob position is referenced from the top zero, and the background from the 200. I think it's 200, 200 or something like that. So I have to pass that information to, so I know that it can be like int moving background y positioning. And then I'm going to have the correct, because it should be this minus the background y. And I should be able to add it height just just after frame height. Moving background y. And these, I do have this information. I just have to remember where I put it. That editor there. Background position. If I'm not mistaken, it should be that, because that's the where the layer starts. The screw able area should work. Oh, you're missing something. Let me check again. Minus. Minus or plus moving back around. Always get confused with that. So let's test both. Since it's easy and quick to test. The same result. Should be the background. Just thinking about the offset too. Well, let's take a look at those values. And oh, forgot. End of the line. Let's take a look at the actual sizes that it should be using. Take a print screen and take a look. 146. Let's take a look. Oh, the offset 146 should be the size in here. It's not. Where is came from? Interesting. There is 1746. 1070. Top 1070. Okay. I know what it is. Because that's 4K. So I have to double all the values. So 146 should be 72, something like that. And 1000 should be 500, something like that. So it's correct. Because this is a 4K. And when I do a print screen, it's just 1080p. Okay, in theory, should be okay, but should not showing correctly. So let me check my background here if it's using the offset. And it's not using the offset. That also can lead to a problem. Okay, so now that should work better. This is the original background. This is a light gray. You see? No, it's correct. Let's take a closer look. Seems to be perfect. Let's move to the next part. Next part is the panel background. Now the panel background has another offset. Thing is, you don't really need the offset the way I'm passing. Now that I'm thinking a bit better about stuff, I don't need a 2-point position. I just need the Y positioning. So let's remove that panel background Y instead. Remove. Oh, I removed the decal. And we put this in here because that's more correct. We don't need the X position for that. So now we have to fix it on the knob creation. We just need now this guy. Firmware background. Why? That's correct. Now we go to the widget. We can actually copy the code above. Not going to need this. This is going to be the same code as this one, but with just one difference. Plus panel background Y. If I'm not mistaken, this should do it. We have the position where it starts a layer, but I don't think we need that because the layers all file already has a space at the top. Yeah, it has a space at the top. So we remove that. And we add the panel background Y. So it's almost done because it should have to cut the image depending on how high it is on the top. And that you can use the moving background Y to know if it's too much on the top. And also have to worry about the bottom. Uh, there's a lot of paste, so I have to worry. It's almost perfect. What gives? And I have to worry about this. I have to subtract that. Just the way I subtracted that before. Weird. Hmm. Check on the knob creation. Oh, there's one thing I have to change here. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's the great knob panel. I need to know which panel I'm going to use. And setting. Oh, type of the knob. Where's my create knob here? Panels overlay top in this case for the filter. And the overlay top is already going to give me the offset in the file to the right place. Oh, this should be right. Why it's not showing correctly? Very wrong, actually, especially in here on the bottom. As I move, it's messing up more. Hmm. One thing I was wondering. Brain overload. Well, at least it's consistent. Okay, there is another problem that I'm not seeing. The offset is for when the knob moves. Okay. You have to render on a different place of the screen. But shouldn't offset the position from the original file, especially on a moving background. It's hard to see, but if I take a screenshot, I can take a look much closer. Well, let's see if the lines are correct. No, they're not. I can already see here that they are breaking and rendering something else. Print screen. Here they almost look correct, but you can see here that they are breaking up, not showing correctly. One easier way to look at this, let's disable the rendering of the knob and just take a look at the background. But I'm going to take a look at the original background first. And for that, I'm going to disable the layers moving background. Back layer, I'm not drawing anymore. That way, it's easier to see what's going on. So it should be a very light gray now. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, I'm pressing here. I'm pressing in here. Take a print screen. Take a look. Okay, that looks perfect. From what I can say. It seems perfect. All the lines continuous. There's no breaking. Now let's move. Shoes look good. So yeah, the background seems to be rendering correctly. This is another screenshot. All good. Oh, let's put back this guy here. And here on the rendering on the background, let's take a look of what I'm doing. So it's weird. So as I move everything, I have to move the background as well. Okay. I can understand that. That's why you have the positioning and the offset. So it's like it's in here, it has a background of there, but I move it up. The offset now is there, and it should also the offset of the background. there. In this case, the offset is going to be negative. But what happens when we have the moving moving background? Moving background acts in a different way because it moves along with the object. Which will always be the positioning without the offset and minus the positioning of the top. So it should be this. Oh, I forgot to close. Complain. Look. Okay, that's correct. No, that's not correct. You can see the lines breaking here on the top, on the left, on the right. It's getting the same information on the both frequencies, and it should be. Trying to figure out okay, where I draw is correct. Just from the original file, from where I get it, is giving me a hard time. We're going to do instead. What I have to do is check first here again how I actually draw it. So I use the background positioning phi, and from where, so this should be 0 on the first place. The background positioning, okay. And I do have the layer bulk positioning because it should be this guy. Just want to double check that. It's where it starts the layer screw area. So it should be 0 and 146 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 0, 146. Now, when I draw here, 146. It seems to be okay. I don't know why it's doing like that. Take a look at the variable that I'm passing, if I'm passing correctly, but 146, that's correct. 46. The bottom one is the top one. It's very hard to see if it's breaking or not, but it looks like it is. Because you can see that the line's breaking here. Hmm. I'm just going to test that out. Green screen. Okay, now that's different. But it's still breaking. Not correct. Uh, yes, not correct. Trying to figure out why it's doing like that. Because here it's just drawing the whole thing. Oh, come on. Check my drawing again. Start drawing on the layer background position, which is 146. Use the back layer. Here's back position Y, which is by default 0, where it starts from. Seems to be correct. Get it. I'm going to deactivate the main background just to check. It's easier to figure out this. Oh, okay, now I just have the main layer, and it's not going to be easy because I forgot to clean the background. So let me clean the background first. To clear up with white or black. I don't remember. I always get confused with the RGB values. Not really clearing anything. Hmm. No black. Oh, pixel. So that. See if it's going to draw as black. More water. Mm-mm. Not, it's not tinting. I must have disabled something. Oh boy. Back my background. And remove this guy. I have an idea. You open the files. Since those are cached files, I can mess around with them. Some red stuff. Motion blur. Going to give us some lines. Not very good. That's a lot of noise. We're going to save this and see if this helps me out or not. Who knows? Must be a large file now. Green. Take a look. Breakings. And that doesn't help much. Let's try the other file. Add some reference lines and see if that helps. I just want to check where I'm doing the math wrong. You can see that here it's perfect for the background. Okay. Because the background is fixed, so it does make a bit of sense that it's doing it correctly. Back. Have to recreate the file. No problem. So I'm going to stop for today because I have to do some stuff downtown. But I hope you appreciate the watching me coding. I know it's sometimes boring, but sometimes can be exciting or not. So again, thanks for watching.